racing now. I wish I win from last. A spectacular TJ win. Giga kick down the outside, wins the Everest. Shinzo and Ryan Moore have drawn clear to win the Golden Slipper.
With Tim Gilbert and Julie Snook, this is Racing Dreams.
Good morning and great to have your company. This is Racing Dreams and Jules. Looking spectacular today, my friend.
Thank you. Likewise, Timmy. Likewise. We're coming
I haven't
to
had that said for a long, long time. And we're in the Golden West. Get the desert boots on. I feel at home again.
We are out here at Rosehill Gardens for today's Golden Eagle. A cooler day out here today. Perfect conditions for the Golden Eagle. And, of course, all eyes are also going to be on the Giga Kick Stakes. That is shaping up to be one absolutely cracking race. But 20,000 people expected out here today, Tim. Good conditions?
Yeah, absolutely. I love Rosehill Gardens. The place is looking pretty as a picture. We've got a huge program today. We're going to talk to John Massara about Hitotsu, who's standing up there. We go back to England, of course. Julie's done a lovely story on I Wish I Win, last year's winner. But everywhere you look, either Rosehill Gardens or in Melbourne today, some huge Group 1 racing down there. And with that, we need to welcome the man himself from the Daily Telegraph. He's outdone himself this year, Shane O'Cass.
Good morning, Tim. Morning, Julie. Yeah, Derby Day, but a Golden Eagle Day as well in Sydney, a $10 million race. And also the Giga Kick, which is going to be very exciting just for the point system that's lined up. A $2.5 million bonus going to some of these horses if they can win. And it's very, very congested up at the top. Anything could happen.
Well, let's start on the Golden Eagle, Shane. Of course, it is worth $10 million. This is such a unique concept in the sense that it's got the charity element to it as well. But what do we make of the field?
Look, it's been a good race in the first 4 years. This will be the fifth running, obviously. The first four winners have all been very good horses. Colding kicked off in the first year. I Wish I Win won it last year. So we've got a capacity field, 1,500 at Rosehill. All these horses are in form. This has been their main mission for their entire campaign. The barrier draw has been crucial, as it is in most races, but particularly when you're looking at 20 horses trying to get across all the one patch of grass. I suppose with the draw, Julie, it really did advantage Hawaii 5-0, John Singleton's horse, of course Jerry Harvey's horse, Gay Waterhouse, Nashua Willa. He ran in the Everest. He ran a very good race in the Everest. He was beaten, but finishing off really well. Gave the impression that 1,500 would suit, but he does have to prove himself at 1,500. He hasn't been that far before. And then you turn to a horse like Kovalika, who's probably his main danger. He's a horse that probably if this was 1,800, he'd be odds on and you'd take that all day. But stepping back from the 1,600 twice to 1,500, is he going to run out of time? How much ground is he going to have to make up on horses like Hawaii 5-0? But without a doubt, Kovalika has been the eye catcher in both the Epsom and the inaugural King Charles. So in some ways, he's stepping back in class today.
All right, what about the international influence? Because it's certainly there. I was in Newmarket last week. Charlie Hills has got Galaron around 150 to 1, but the people I'm speaking to saying, hey, that's a better horse than that. There's quite a significant international flavour through the Golden Eagle today.
Well, there is, and always interest in Japanese horses when they come down here, guys, because obviously in our staying races, they run rings around us. They won two in a Melbourne Cup. And this horse that's come from Japan, let's just call him the Big O because I can't pronounce his name. But look, he's got great form over there. He's a very lightly raced horse. He was going to be ridden by their top jockey, Yutaka Take, who used to ride Deep Impact. He was one of the best horses ever. But he was injured last week, so Josh Parr's picked up the ride. And what an amazing ride to pick up in a $10 million race. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these locals come or perform because there'll be more and more of them that'll want to get down here for a $10 million race. But look, just at the moment, I think our locals probably have their measure.
In terms of the jockeys, Nashua Willa is back. Of course, we know that he sat out the Caulfield Cup and the Cox Plate for that suspension to make sure he was back for today on board Hawaii 5-0. That's a big opportunity for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think, in hindsight, Nash really missed anything by missing those two rides because they didn't go especially well. And I'm sure he wanted to be back, obviously, as you say, for Hawaii 5-0, but also for Private Eye because I touched on there the point series before. It's very close. We've got, think about it, on 10, Bella Nipotina 8, Private Eye is on 8. So it's 10, 9, 8. Double points today. It could really go any way. So, and that's on top of what, think about it, could just pick up for the purse, 1.725. So these two horses, they're stablemates, they've won $20 million combined and they only cost 130 as yearlings. So happy days for a lot of owners.
Oh, absolutely. Wish I was one of them. Unfortunately, I'm not. Now, the Melbourne Cup Carnival in full swing. Derby Day today, of course. We've got a story on Hitotsu, who won the Derby just a couple of years ago and then came back and won the ATC Derby a few months later. The first to do it since Mahogany. There's a lot of Group 1 racing, some big horses down there.
Yeah, Hitotsu, as you mentioned, he's one of the best Derby winners of all time. I mean, then a lot of good horses have won it. But look, I'm not just saying that because I'm in Sydney, but this is a dud Derby. There's not many horses in this race that you would think are going to go on and win good races after this. So it's a very disappointing field this year. Rips Rocket, look, he got beaten last start and he's going to start a short price favourite. But I say when in doubt, back Chris Waller. So Rips Rocket in a pretty ordinary looking Derby this year, guys.
Well, Shane, we also have the Giga Kick Stakes, which you've touched on. What a field this is, but can anyone beat the Everest champ?
Well, if you go back on the Everest run, Julie, a lot of people are, I think quite rightly, saying if you swap their runs, Private Eye probably beats Think About It. I don't know about that, but you could make that case. And Private Eye meets the horse 1 kilo better today. Whether that's significant to horses that weigh 500 kilos, I don't know. But it'll probably be, again, the same case of whoever gets the best run out of the two will win. Private Eye, they both won 11 races, so they're very similar horses, and they've both got massive amounts of courage and desire. So to be honest, I don't know, but I'm just not brave enough to tip against Think About It because he just doesn't lose. And it's been said so many times before, the only time he did lose, he should have won. So we're talking about a horse that should be 12 out of 12 that has yet to ever really be tested in a race. And he certainly hasn't trained off. If anything, he's going better. So I think this is going to be one of the clashes of all time. And, they just happen to be stablemates.
Yeah, I think Joe Pride's going to be happy, obviously, either way. He'd like to Quinella the race. I do actually have a sneaking feeling that Private Eye might get the chocolates. But, look, you've had mixed form yourself with your tipping. You've done very bad, and you've done very well.
As we all have.
What have you got today?
Yeah, look, you have to have a tip in the Golden Rose. It's a fabulous race. I thought Ruthless Dame was an absolute certainty when I saw the fields. The Golden Eagle. I thought it was a certainty when I saw the fields come out on Tuesday, and then it drew barrier 20. So I pulled back on the certainty. I still think it'll win. Sam Clipperton's riding it, the Everest winning jockey. It's going to need a magnificent ride, but I think Sam's up to the job.
And Sam is very full of confidence when it comes to this horse. Shane O'Cass, a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Julie.
Brought to you by Bet365. Imagine what you could be buying instead.
Well, as we count down to this afternoon's $10 million Golden Eagle, let's revisit last year's race where I Wish I Win. He catapulted to the front there and showed us just how good he is.
The Golden Eagle to me is an absolute masterstroke. It's 1,500 metres. It's just for 4-year-olds. And it's worth a hell of a lot of money. On Golden Eagle Day, busy time of the year, as we know, on any stud farm in the Southern Hemisphere. So we just we got on with our jobs and we just decided that we'd gather at the White Horse, our little spot on the farm there, put some sausages on the barbie, as they say, and have a couple of beers and see what pans out.
The biggest field of the race since its inception, and there's the light. We're ready to run. Stand by for a break. Gates are back. They're off and racing.
I think I Wish I Win was paying about sort of $8, $8.50, something like that. So let's say sort of middle of the field. We certainly didn't expect to win.
I Wish I Win's in the middle of the ruck as they go into the first turn.
He came around the turn in the Golden Eagle. I sort of thought that he was probably still a bit far off them, but obviously we've learned in the last 12 months that he's got a massive turn of foot. And that's probably the time that we really saw it.
They turn and Light Infantry gives away a big start. In the Congo's got a great kick at the 300. In the Congo, 2 lengths clear from Mr. Mozart. I Wish I Win is starting to power into the race, and quickly I Wish I Win.
He accelerated so fast, it was like, well, where we're going to end up here. And of course, then he hit the front and he probably lost a little bit of concentration and Fangirl came at him. But at that stage there, I don't know whether the commentator was actually commentating or not because we couldn't hear him.
Here's Fangirl, the outside. Fangirl goes to I Wish I Win, who kicked and won. I Wish I Win. They've done it. Peter Moody with a three-pronged attack. Luke Nolan in the saddle.
We've been mates for a long time. Our families are all, let's say, pretty close. We've, let's say, grown, I don't know about growing up, but we've been in the game together, you know, from the similar time right through. And I think it was also very special for him and Luke Nolan. But over 12 months since he had his first run in Australia, and as we all know, you know, he's won 10 million in the last 12 months. So it was unbelievable to win the Golden Eagle, unbelievable. And just to think now that he's gone on and won TJ Smith and done second in the Everest and that, it's hard to believe that you'll ever race a horse that is one of the best horses in Australasia or in Australia, and I think that's what we've got. There's 17,000 foals born throughout Australasia in any 1 year, and one horse out of that 17,000 is going to win the Golden Eagle as a 4-year-old, and we were very fortunate to do that.
Nice piece, Jules. Yeah, and we've got a huge day today. A huge day today, of course, the Golden Eagle, and resplendent in his golden tie, ladies and gentlemen, is the head of media and broadcast for the Australian Turf Club, Mr. Brett Devine. How are you?
Very well, Tim. Good morning to you. Good morning, Julie. Welcome back, Racing Dreams. You guys have told some amazing stories over the carnival. Really now today, though, is the big one for Sydney's West, the James Squire Golden Eagle. Fabulous to have you here, and looking for a crowd, hopefully well north of 15,000, maybe up to 20. So it's a great day out here at Rosehill Gardens. Anyone watching, you should come on out, and there's a lot going on outside of just the racing.
Well, we just heard from Mark Chittick then from Waikato Stud, who won last year's Golden Eagle with I Wish I Win. This is a genius concept, again, for the 4-year-olds, over 1,500 metres, and it's in its 5th year now, very much in its infancy, but it's just done so well in the first 5 years.
It certainly has. Racing New South Wales, it was a masterstroke to put this race on for 4-year-olds to keep those really good horses in training. And in just, as you say, 4 runnings, we've had Colding, a Group 1 winner. We've had Colette, a multiple Group 1 winner. We've had I'm Thunderstruck, a Group 1 winner. And last year, I Wish I Win became a Group 1 winner. So for the racing purists, this race really is rating through the roof, and I think this is the actually a stronger race this year. It's got competitors from right across Australia, across from the world, and it is the biggest race of the day, obviously here today. I think the biggest race in the country, a $10 million race, and $1 million to charity as well, which is so something else that really warms our heart.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to do a piece on that. But what you just mentioned then, international. I was in Newmarket last week, and we're going to hear a story later in the show from Johnny McKeever, who does all the buying for Gay and Adrian up at Newmarket, and he's been involved in the purchase of 2 horses, including Galaron today, New Endeavour. It truly is international, and this is the type of race with 4-year-olds that they love.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think also over a distance of 1,500 metres, they really like that as well, because we obviously have all the strongest sprinters. So, as you've touched on, Tim, there's plenty of people now over in the UK who are looking at this race, not only in isolation, but then to keep their horses here and keep them racing here all the way through the year and beyond, and many of them go to some of the biggest stables here in the country, including Chris Waller, Annabelle Neesham, Gay and Adrian, etc. So they're not only targeting our big prize money races. We were at Canterbury Park yesterday with the connections of Galaron, who are in the James Squire Golden Eagle. They could could not believe the prize money that they're racing for, but they also couldn't believe what we race for all through the year here. So certainly this race has put us on the international map, and for those 4-year-olds, it's a unique concept from Racing New South Wales to make sure we keep our superstar horses here in Australia racing, but also luring others. It's a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
How do you think this concept paired with the Everest? We've seen what a phenomenon the Everest has become. You've got the big dance on Tuesday, of course. You've got the Giga Kick Stakes this afternoon as well, which is a cracking race. How do you think it's changed, I suppose, the spring here in Sydney, particularly for Western Sydney?
Yeah, absolutely. absolutely, Julie. Great question, because it's an $87 million carnival, and of course the Everest is the peak. The Everest is the big one.
46,500 people.
Yeah, absolutely. And look how young people have embraced that race as well. So new customers to racing. So that Everest is the peak race, but it's also grown the rest of the carnival. And as I say, $87 million in prize money, $10 million here today for Rosehill Gardens. It's time for the race for the carnival, to come out here and really celebrate what is world-class racing. What's it done for our racing and our crowds? And it's just grown them. And our spring used to be 3 or 4 weeks, and a couple of big sort of races through that. Well, now it goes for 12 weeks.
No, it is like the Everest.
You can tell how tired I am. But,
and we need that, like you say, we need the younger people, and it's refreshing, but it's important, it's vital. And you hear from other parts of the world where they're losing a lot of the young influence and interest. It is an absolute must.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I say to people, if you think the Everest Day was a success or you want to judge it, don't listen to people like me, don't read stories, but look at the pictures. Yeah. Look at the pictures and the people and the time that they're having. There are so many young people just enjoying that day. That Sweet Caroline moment's becoming iconic in Sydney. And just seeing those pictures and seeing people have a good time is the absolute tick that you would be looking for to say, is this working and is this growing our racing? So again, we at the Australian Turf Club so happy and proud to work with Racing New South Wales in bringing these races and executing these events, whether it be at Royal Randwick or Rosehill Gardens.
Well, tell us about what's happening trackside here today as well, because a big emphasis on families.
Yeah, it certainly is, Jules, and we're talking about alluring young people. Well, of course, the younger the better, that they can come and enjoy and see these great animals in action, but also enjoy great value for money for families. It's free entry for kids today, so any kid under 18 gets in for free. We've got face painting, petting zoos, pony rides, teacup rides Tim and I might jump on later, lots of food stalls, and just when you think the kids might be calming down and you tire them out, we've got free gelato and fairy
a bit of sugar.
That's probably more my pace. I think the teacups might have extra stability. The scary thing about Sweet Caroline is you and I are old enough to remember the Hot August Night concert. But look, it's going to be a great day, and great for coming on the program. Thanks for coming on the program, brother. Who's your tip? Who's your tip in the Golden Eagle?
Well, I have to tip Obamburamai, and I'm only tipping that because I've been practising saying its name now
Good
for
name.
so often.
Well done.
Shane O'Cass called it the Big O. He's actually more like the Little O when you see him, but he looks like a real little rocket. So Obamburamai for Japan. That's my tip. It's my lucky number 12. What else?
It's about $12.50, $30.
What else can go wrong?
Each way odds.
There you go. Brett Devine, lovely to see you as always. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jules, and thanks, Tim.
And thanks for all your help through the show and the series. And Racing Dreams, we are just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a break and then we'll be back with more. See you soon.
Welcome back. You're watching Racing Dreams, and we're coming to you live this morning from Rosehill Gardens for Golden Eagle Day today, Timmy. And of course, the Golden Eagle, it's really become an international affair. UK bloodstock agent Johnny McKeever has had a hand in the purchase of 2 of today's runners. Timmy.
He absolutely has, Jules. I spoke to him this morning. He's just arrived in Australia, but he's based up at Newmarket. And he obviously was part of the purchase of Galaron for Charlie Hills, but also New Endeavour for Gay and Adrian. He's buying horses over the last 15 years for Gay Waterhouse at Newmarket. And of course, the star purchase last year was Just Fine. And as we know, Just Fine won the Metropolitan just a few weeks ago. I was in England last week in Newmarket. I caught up with Johnny.
Spirit Ridge showing plenty of fight. Rachel King driving hard on Just Fine. The favourite ahead in front, Just Fine. Spirit Ridge really trying to come back. Just Fine, a brave Metropolitan win.
So, Johnny, it was this very sale last year that you bought Just Fine for Adrian and Gay, and Just Fine, as we know, won the Metropolitan just a few weeks ago.
Yes, it was a bit of a sort of an amazing story. We normally find that horses that come from here take about a year to adjust and get into their rhythm and show their good form again. But he came down to Australia and did it instantaneously, and literally within 6 months was training like a champion. And then he's had 3 runs in a row and won a Group 3 and the Metropolitan, and it was wow. That was pretty quick. There's also the kind of romantic side with that story, in that was a horse that was owned by the late Queen of England, and then was the first horse to win a race for the new king, King Charles, and then those were dispersed. A lot of those racehorses were dispersed, and now he's owned by a micro share company in Australia. So every man, woman, and child in Australia has a share in him, and it used to be owned by the King of England. So it's kind of an amazing. It's a very Aussie story in a funny sort of way.
It's quite a racing dream, to be honest with you, and it's a bit of a look at the way the industry is in Australia in many, many ways, because it is available to the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, as we often say. Everyone can get involved at a micro level or a major level. Let's look at some of these other horses from here. We've had such a wonderful time here. Glen Cadham Gold, that's over 10 years ago. The Offer just after that, and of course Knight's Order more recently.
Who's such a sweet horse. Funnily enough, Claudia Miller from Gay's office is here with me today, and she came up a couple of years ago, and we were getting outbid on everything. We finally got to the last day, and near the end of the last day, on the Wednesday, we were all needing to be in Heathrow Airport to catch flights to the carnival, and the horse was coming up. We're going to make our flight timings very, very close, but we hung in there and secured Knight's Order, and he's given his owners so much pleasure, that horse. He's been a wet tracker, always has been a wet tracker, and he's got very lucky on several occasions when the tracks have been a bit soft, and he excels in those conditions. And the day he won the Sydney Cup, we had a huge party, and I'll never forget. It's one of the highlights of my time in racing in Sydney in recent years. So loved it.
Rachel King rides him right out. Knight's Order holding Shiraz. Darshan Sweet Jr. goes to third, but Knight's Order will lead all the way in the Sydney Cup.
Can we go one more walk up and down, please?
We often say on our show, Racing Dreams, that Australian racing is the envy of the world. How do you see it, Johnny?
I do believe it's the envy of the world. I have become a huge convert, and I have to say that is largely because Gay Waterhouse met me some 15 years ago at a friend's dinner party, and she encouraged me to come down. She said I'd love it, and she really helped me a lot, and she let me do some yearling selection, and then started helping her with the horses in training selection. Since I've come every year, and including spending a year and a quarter there when I got stuck there during COVID.
I had lunch with you during that.
Yes, yeah, and it was a memorable experience, and it really enhanced my knowledge of Australia because I was seeing it through all seasons. And although I couldn't see as many people probably as possible as I could have done otherwise, I did feel that I got to know Australia and Australian racing much better on that trip. So, I go to all the sales every year, all the yearling sales. And yes, I've seen it from both sides. And the fact is, you've got tremendous prize money and syndication system, and those two things added together make for the most vibrant racing scene.
What about the Everest?
I think the Everest is an amazing concept. I didn't really understand it to begin with. You know, we're so traditional here that anything that is a concept beyond the horse that finishes first wins the race was it's a little bit alien to begin with. But now I've seen what it can do for racing and how it's brought out all those crowds of young people in Sydney, and you know, that's brilliant. Getting the young involved. We're really in danger of losing young people in England and Europe, and now I think Australia's in very, very good shape. The product is extremely good, and the value for money is extremely good. I'm as you can see, a convinced fan about everything Australian and racing put together.
Some brilliant coverage there from the UK, Timmy. I love what you did over there. And I also love that the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker has gone global.
It's gone global.
It's gone global.
It's now, we'll see how many continents we can get it in. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, because it just...
Willing to give it a crack for 2024.
Absolutely, it sits perfectly. All right, time to have a look at the track, because it does look pretty as a picture, and the man in charge of it all is track manager here at Rosehill Gardens, Sean Patterson. Sean, how are you, my friend? Welcome to Racing Dreams, and tell us a little bit about what we're racing on today.
Good morning. Look, we're starting this morning on a good 4. The Pano was 5.05, so obviously a little bit tricky with the conditions, expecting some rain, but we just kept a nice moisture for today's racing.
It is a bit of a cooler day here today. Of course, we haven't had racing here at Rosehill Gardens for a few weeks now. So how is the track looking and what is on the radar? Because there are a little bit of cloud cover about.
Yeah, look, we've had 4 weeks off, which has given us a nice freshen up. We've been able to conduct a little bit of a renovation, which has just made the track bounce. And look, it's a really good cover of grass. The radar is looking clear at the moment. They are saying that we are going to get a little bit of rain, but they have been saying that since last night. So fingers crossed we don't get any. And look, we're really happy with where the track sits.
Yeah, but even if we do get a little bit, it's not going to cause too much trouble, you wouldn't think, at a good 4. And who would have ever thought, Sean, with what we've been through the past couple of years with you, with galoshes on and basically a race day cancelled because of the torrential rain that we're saying that there's not much rain about at all.
Yeah, look, I suppose you can look at it as one way of it's what makes racing great. The conditions are what suits, and every horse gets a chance on different conditions. But look, we'll take the no rain today at this stage. A mill freshen up will be really nice for it, but look, we're really happy.
A huge effort to get this track ready for any race day, let alone a $10 million race day. Take us behind the scenes, Sean, if you will. Tell us a little bit about your team. How many have you got on board helping you prepare for a race day like this?
Yeah, look, on average, we have about 25 to 29 staff, and then we also enlist the help of other tracks from Randwick, Warwick Farm and Canterbury Park to get us ready for the race day. We plan this out 6 months in advance, so we know exactly what we're going to do. Obviously, the weather is what we need to adjust to, but look, the team have done a massive job, and the place looks great today.
Oh, absolutely, and it's called Rosehill Gardens for a reason, because you have particular staff that work around the clock to get all the beautiful flowers in place, and it does look exquisite.
Yeah, you probably don't really see as much in the background, but we have about up to 10,000 annuals that we grow for this particular day. Obviously, we have this break when we have the golden rose earlier, so it's in between 2 seasons, so they're chopping in and chopping out to make sure that we've got all the colour up to scratch, and they've done an awesome job.
Sean, I've got to ask, do you and the rest of the team have the best gardens in Sydney, or at least the best lawn? You got to.
Well, look, we try. We take a lot of pride. Obviously, being one of the 4 racecourses of the ATC, every site does have their bonuses, and they do an awesome job. But look, we take a lot of pride in what we can deliver, and hopefully it stands out today.
Well, give us a little bit of insight into the way the day started for you and the course of the day and the way it'll end. How does it operate for someone in your shoes? You're obviously up very early. Just take us through your day.
Yeah, look, today is obviously a long day. Every race day's a long day. I get here at 4 o'clock in the morning. I probably leave inside about 7:30 tonight, just making sure we cross all our T's. Obviously, we've got a race meeting today, but it goes on to the next, so we're just going to make sure we prep for it. We meet with the team every day. We discuss what we're doing, and we just make sure that we've got the plan going forward to deliver what we can.
Well, Sean, thank you so much for joining us. It is a very busy day for you and the team. You've done a stellar job. It looks absolutely sensational from here. The chopper's just landing in now. Normally that's how you arrive to me. So
well,
thank
normally
you for
that's normally
today.
how our lunch comes. Usually with some of Jerry's pies, who's the head chef here, and a few sausage rolls, as it just sort of makes its way to the surface here. Good on you, Sean. Have a wonderful day. We're racing on a good 4 at this point. Look, there's a little bit of cloud cover about. It's hard to deny the rain because plenty of places need it. So we'll wait and see what happens with the weather, but we've got plenty more racing dreams shortly. Oh, it is nice to have your company. Of course, it is Golden Eagle Day, our penultimate racing dreams for the Spring Carnival.
It is indeed. And of course, today the Golden Eagle has the charity element, which is just such a unique part of this race. The race is worth $10 million, but up to $1 million will go to charities here in Australia. Each runner has nominated their chosen charity of choice to me.
Absolutely. And of course, one of the charities is Riding for the Disabled. And Ian Travis from the organisation here in New South Wales joins us now. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, Tim. Yeah, Julie. It's... very well.
It is a wonderful concept, a chance for charities to receive, well, the winner could receive up to more than $500,000. What does, money like this do for an organisation like Riding for the Disabled New South Wales?
Gosh, I mean, it changes the whole environment. People don't, unless you own a horse, you don't understand the costs of a horse. The whole operation is charity-based, fundraising. It's all run by volunteers. There's one or two administrative staff that are paid, but other than that, everyone else volunteers their time. And to actually be able to, we don't buy horses, we're given horses, either ex-race horses, people that are retired. So it means a lot to be able to maintain those. And, if you're a horse rider, we've got dentists, farriers, veterinaries, So we try and keep them all in tip-top condition.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're looking at some of the vision now. It does really bring a tear to your eye in many ways, because it makes me think of my nephew who's 18. He's got cerebral palsy, and we did a little story with him a few years ago. He's just turned 18 at the start of the year. But it's extraordinary how it liberates their lives. Things like being able to ride a racehorse. It's not dissimilar to any of the aquatic sports that they can do, and it just puts them in a position where they feel free.
As I said to you before we came on air, you have to see the magic that the horses and the guys with all abilities, they get on a horse and the two just gel. And we found, and I don't mean this to any horse owners who don't have thoroughbreds, but when you get a thoroughbred ex-race horse, extremely intelligent, and you just see and just go together, and you see we have a saying, I'll say it on air because I love the saying, and it's bums in saddles and smiles on faces, because that's what we do, and you've got to do it with a kind heart. You don't do it for any reward or anything like that. And to get those guys, a young lady that I work with has cerebral palsy also, in a wheelchair, has very limited use of one arm and one leg. The minute she's up in that saddle, she's balanced and she rides on her own. And that is just amazing. And I never say they're an inspiration, they're not. I admire what these guys do because they're so determined. And the smiles is just unbelievable. 1 hour a day can be the best hour of the week,
It is incredible therapy. There's a reason horses are used for therapy right across the world. But you look at Riding for the Disabled, you have a variety of programs. You have the riding, you have the carriage driving as well, dressage, mounted games, an equine facilitated mental health and learning program as well. These are really key, important resources for those that are in need.
Yeah, and don't just focus on the riders either. We have volunteers come along who are struggling with life. Have had, breakdowns or trauma in their lives, and they come along and they work with the horses 3 or 4 hours a day, and they get as much out of it as the riders do. So it works for everybody. I call it my go-to place, the gym and the horses. That's me.
I probably need to do a bit more of the first one myself, but you're so true.
I'll sign you up.
And it's like, the reason why we use cliches and one-liners often is because they're true. That whole line about the outside of a horse doing amazing things to the inside of a human, there's a classic example right there. Now, from a tangible perspective, a financial perspective, Oh Bamburamai, that's the horse you want to win. The Japanese horse today. It's around $12.50. It's in the market, and if it wins, it means a lot for Riding for the Disabled in New South Wales.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine. She said, "Have you seen this, the Golden Eagle? And your horse is the Japanese horse." I'm like, "What?" So I was looking, and then I've still been practicing before I even come on air. Bamburamai. Okay, right. And I'll be watching. My wife's recording it all for me. So
you'll know how to pronounce it by this afternoon.
Exactly.
Look, Ian, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on all the work that you do, all the work the volunteers do, and we'll come out there with our cameras and do a nice story sometime soon. Hopefully in the autumn.
That'd be fantastic.
Really well. Good on you.
Lovely to see you. Thank you very much. And we should acknowledge all the other charities that are racing today as well. There are too many to name, but this is just such an incredible opportunity for them to win up to be part of the $1 million prize money. And again, a great initiative from Racing New South Wales to really shine a spotlight on the important work that these charities do. Well, Timmy, it was on this day 2 years ago that Hitotsu, he really put his name up in lights at the Victorian Derby, winning for Kieran Meyer and David Eustace.
Absolutely, Jules, and it's quite appropriate we've been talking about Japanese horses because Hitotsu is the best son of Morris, and Hitotsu went on to win 3 Group 1s, the first time since Mahogany back in 1994 to win the Victoria Derby and the Australian Derby within 6 months. I was up at Arrowfield, of course, a few weeks ago, and I caught up with the wonderful, the great, the one-of-the-kind John Massara.
Here's Hitotsu though, finishing at a rate of knots. Hitotsu goes on by. Hitotsu storms away. Hitotsu wins the Penfold Victoria Derby. Lightsaber joined by Hitotsu. They're running off the track. Hitotsu just in front. Hitotsu a special win. Won by a nick.
Between them, Hitotsu trying to lift. Hitotsu is lifting from Benno the outside. The great Benno goes to Hitotsu. Hitotsu clings on and Hitotsu wins the Derby. The first since Mahogany to do the double. Hitotsu just from Benno. Oh, soul-stirring finish to the Derby. And Hitotsu claims the Victoria ATC Derby. The first since Mahogany to do it.
The thing about Hitotsu, he is Arrowfield through and through. He was bred here, he was sold as a yearling, and he's a record breaker. How did he do that in 6 months? How did he win those 3 races in 6 months?
3 Group 1s in a row is something that's very seldom done. 2 derbies is something that's very seldom done. Running first up in an Australian Guineas is very seldom done. This guy is exceptional, absolutely exceptional. And it comes from the pedigree to some extent, but also the motor he has in there. He's got an outstanding cardiovascular system and tremendous supporting lungs. And this is something the trainers worked out quickly early in his career off their sports medicine metrics that they get. They get this information after gallops, etc., with the heart rate monitors they have there in the blanket. And they worked out quickly that he was a horse that had very good recovery, and during his work he was able to run splits which were as fast as any other horse had run under their care. You know, they gave him tasks which they probably wouldn't have given to another horse, and yet he was up to it. And well, he's made history. He can pass that on to his produce. We've got a fair bit to look forward to.
Oh, absolutely. And Arrowfield and the Hitotsu Syndicate have committed 49 mares to his first book, so putting the money where the mouth is.
Well, we are conviction breeders, and we're supporting this horse, believing that he's a chance of being a great success.
And there's a Hitotsu breeding bonus as well.
Well, the first party, other than shareholders, that breeds a 2-year-old stakes winner in his first season, there's a $125,000 kicker, cash, just a little enticement. We did announce him a bit late in the season as a stallion, and we thought we needed to, apart from his feats, to draw some attention to him, and this has been helpful for the smaller breeder who sees that as a nice little bonus.
And the thing I remember 5 years ago when you said to me when Morris was coming to Arrowfield, you watch this space. You watch this space, and it's happened.
Well, the Japanese horses are about the best horses in the world at the moment. Whenever they go somewhere to compete, be it Europe or anywhere, including Australia, they do wonderfully well, because the Japanese industry has been underpinned by this continuous search for performance. They've got a huge number of Group 1 winning mares, our partners over there, and they buy the best stallions, the best performing stallions. So they're breeding athletes to athletes, and in the end, you can get extraordinary horses that way.
What about if we can get the JM crystal ball out? We're sitting here in 4 years' time. What will you be telling me about Hitotsu?
Well, I think we'll be saying that how is it that he went to stud at a fee of $20,000 when he's producing the sort of horses he's now producing? And I'll say to you, everything has to start somewhere, and it's a long-term business, and you've got to be patient.
It's actually quite a lovely day, isn't it? It's not
nice.
too hot, not too cold. There is a little bit of precipitation.
Goldilocks.
Just right. We can hear his voice, the male model from
Brad's
Miranda.
just introed himself here. He's made himself right at home.
Love it. And he's got his pants on too, ladies and gentlemen, which is wonderful. Which is absolutely wonderful.
Hi, Brad. Welcome to the show.
Guys, I did not call myself Goldilocks, if that's what all was picked up in the audio there. It was just regarding the conditions.
Yeah, you've got to
not
be
too
careful.
hot, not too cold,
Michael,
just right.
Oh, the things that I've said, the things that I regret.
Well, you're still here, so couldn't have been too bad.
Yeah. All these years on. Race 2, number 2, is your pick of the day, and I love the name of it because it's sort of, it almost is what this show is. Tell us.
A dream hour.
Dream hour.
Yeah, you could say that.
You could.
Race 2, number 2, trained by Chris Lees. Good winner there first up, guys. 1,300 metres. Today's 1,500 metres. Soft gate, winnable race. $8 at the moment. Might get better. Yeah, I think he's a bet.
What do you make of, we'll get back to the racing in a second, what do you make of today's conditions? It is a little bit cooler, but the track looks great.
Yeah, well, if it stays like this, it'd be perfect, won't it? So we're a good 4. I think all runners get their chance, but eyes on the skies, because all week they've been talking about rain. We didn't get any last night, so we dodged one there. Looking at the radar, it looks to be going through Wyong at the moment. I know they copped a good drink, but there's a few little bits and pieces on the radar. But at the moment, touch wood, we're okay. But there is a forecast, as I say, for drizzling rain throughout. So we're kind of on weather watch at the moment. We don't really know. A few of these runners in the Golden Eagle want rain, a few don't. So there'll be a few doing a rain dance and others won't be.
Yeah, well, we're starting on a good 4, so it's a reasonable place to start. You'd need a pretty decent deluge for things to get changed too much. But from race 2, where do you want to go to then?
I want to go to the Golden Eagle. Let's go straight to the big one. Okay. So this is a race where I probably could say 6 or 7 genuine winning hopes. So what I did is I made a short list, and then I looked at the horses that were paying the biggest price. And that was Kovalika and Osipenko. So typically you can't go too far wrong. Chris Waller playing at home, grand final day. They're both here to rock and roll. The only little thing we need from Tommy Berry is an absolute peach from the wide draw, because Kovalika's drawn right off the track. So he'll be hitting the line. I just hope he doesn't run out of time.
Let's talk about that draw that we saw earlier in the week. How important is a draw for such a big field like this as well? And we see that the 2 favourites are smack bang in the middle there.
Well, that's the problem for Kovalika, isn't it? It's not the fact that he's drawn wide. He's going to have to be giving away head start to horses of the quality of Amelia's Jewel and Hawaii 5-0. So that's a challenge in itself. I think he's one of those horses that like a bit of rain, because Rose Hill Dry, it's a little bit hard to make ground because they just run such fast time from on top of the speed. However, if it just takes a sting out of the track and they can come down the middle, that'll play to his strength, which is going to be his late strength. And the similar can be said for his stablemate, Osipenko. So he's coming back from 2,000 metres. I like that setup. Little freshen up, back from the Turnbull. His trial been great since, and I know he was under a little cloud this morning. The vets did have to assess him, but he's past fit to go, so he's ready to rock and roll too.
We've got to be careful about dismissing international horses. We really have to be careful, because we've all been stung before.
Yeah.
And Oban Boomerang is in the market around $12.50 as they do a sound check. I spoke to someone this morning, said, I can't believe Galeron's 150 to 1.
Yes. Well, he was only beaten 3 lengths by Paddington. And I don't profess to be an international expert, but I know full well that he's a proper horse over there. So, short answer, I don't know. They're just so hard to line up, aren't they? Because unless you're dealing with that form week in, week out, then you can get a line on it. But we just have to assess on what we see here, off the vision that is available to us. And by all reports, Oban Boomerang has settled in particularly well, as always with the Japanese horses, wherever they travel. They run well, and he's looked $1 million in the track gallops that I've seen.
And Josh Parr picks up the ride there as well,
Yes.
which is great opportunity for him. Race 7, the Giga Kick Stakes. A bit on the line here for Joe Pride today.
Yes.
Either way, you'd want to be Joe Pride today.
Yeah, that's right. A few more mil just jump in.
The Red-O's at his place just got a whole lot better.
Lost count. That's right. Yeah, well, I've kind of gone through a journey with him where I've tried to take him on, think about it, and I've had the fingers burnt. No more. I can't do it. He just keeps winning. He's just one of those amazing horses that just, when you throw him into that race, it's a little bit harder. He finds that little bit more. So he was a winner of the Tab Everest, of course, a couple of weeks ago. He was only second up there, third up here, another plum draw, 1,300 metres. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect further improvement. And if he improves again off that, I think he justifies the odds-on quote. If we do get rain, Bella Nipotina, she'll run well at odds.
And look, I do like Private Eye as well. So look, I'm going to have a little bit on Private Eye.
Yep.
Think about it; it's probably a fantastic horse, but just a little bit too short for,
that's fair
for the
enough.
way I like them. There's a lot of Group 1 racing in Melbourne today. Huge day. The Derby's not the best of them, really, but there are some other good races.
Yeah, that Coolmore, isn't there some depth to that race?
Yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, King's Gambit's come out, but you've got Shinzo, you've got Cylinder, they're bringing Everest form to the table, and a whole scope of other runners. So I've got one at a bit of odds in that race, Nadal.
Rafa.
Yeah, Rafa. He's got the headband on.
Okay.
He's ready to do something. So he'll be the one screaming home at the end. And his best, I think he ran a cracker in the Run to the Rose, which ties in with Cylinder.
Yep.
So he'll just be coiled up and be hitting the line.
Well, we've only got about 20 seconds to go, but let's bring up this graphic and have a look at your best bets and your roughies for today here in Sydney.
Yep, I'll rip through these. So best bet, Race 2, Dream Hour, Golden Eagle, Kovalica, Giga Kick, Think About It, the Gold Cup, Canberra Legend on that international theme, also trained by James Ferguson. And the best roughies, Race 4, Salasano, straight to the front, hard to chase down, and Race 6, Sweet Mercy. That's in the 4 pillars, and anything goes in that race.
So which one did you say James Ferguson's got?
That is Canberra Legend.
Canberra Legend,
Race
okay,
9.
because his dad, John Ferguson, who ran Godolphin for 22 years, will be on our show next week, and he is an absolute legend of racing. Wait to watch that. But James is a very bright, talented young trainer from Newmarket. Great to see you, male model. Are you in the very, very quickly? Only got seconds left. Are you in the fashions today?
Well, I mean, it was Everest, eh?
No.
So he was.
I was a late
spotted,
scratching.
Spotted Everest.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Big thank you, of course, to our sponsors. We wouldn't be here without your very generous support here at Rosehill Gardens on this Golden Eagle Day.
Yeah, there they all are. And look, have a wonderful, wonderful day, this Golden Eagle Day. We have one more show to go, and that is next Saturday. We will see you then.
See you then. Bye.